Okay. Hi, guys. All right. So I always feel super awkward as soon as I hit record. You guys know that if you've been on more than one Zoom with me. So I'm super excited to talk to you guys tonight about conversations and just having confidence in the way that you come across to talk to people. I took a little bit of notes, but I'm just gonna probably veer off of them, but I'm gonna try my hardest to stay on task. So I just thought it would be really funny to open up with it quite literally goes down in the DMs. The song is true. Okay. So like all of our business is built like we do IPAs, right? So we have all these income producing activities and we're adding to our network and we're interacting and we're doing all the things, right? But at the end of the day, like when it comes down to your conversation, like that can make or break what happens, right? Like if we don't come across with clear or if we don't come across confident, things like that, like that can actually break the all right, there we go. That can actually break what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. And so without even realizing it, if you're not confident in your response, you can like that comes across without you even realizing that you're doing that. Like you're not purposefully trying to not seem confident, but because you have that little bit of doubt or, nerves, that actually comes through to the person that you're speaking to. The more confidence that you have and the more that you go to somebody and you know exactly what you're going to say and you feel good about what you're talking about. And when somebody asks you a question, you're not like, oh, shoot, like, I don't know what to say. Like every time you feel that, when you respond, they can feel that coming from you. And so tonight, I really want to go over like some normal responses, normal questions that we get on a regular basis, and kind of just like take away the fear and the uncertainty in responses. I want to tell you guys first and foremost, I say basically the same thing to every single person when I get asked the same questions. Now, do I get asked random questions sometimes that I don't normally have a response to? Of course. But most of the time we get the same questions. What do you do? How do you make money? How much is it a month? How do the products work? Like all of those questions are very common, and we get those on a regular basis. So I have my responses that I say every single time. Hold on one second. Go ahead, go potty. No, in here. Go potty right now. Sorry guys, motherhood. Anyway, so I have some responses that I kind of just like wrote out. Normally, every conversation that I have is through voice message. I don't typically type out messages unless I literally am in a place where I can't voice message, which isn't very many places. I will voice message with my kids, WWE, Smashdown, my dog is barking. Like, I don't care what is in the background. I typically just say, hey, sorry, my kids are wild, but let me answer that question for you. And the reason being is because one, I feel like a joke over here. One, I want people to know, especially if they're talking to me about the business, that you can literally do this business no matter what's going on. Like disposals and everything else. I mean, you just show up in the chaos, right? And so like I like to show people that I do that. And so voice messaging is good for that. And then two, they can hear your excitement. They can hear your confidence. They can hear the way that you're speaking. So if you're typing out just like a text message argument, like you can infer your own tone, right? Like you can infer how you're saying that, but they can't do that if you're voice messaging. They can hear your confidence. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry guys. I just had to pause for a second so you guys can hear me. But anyways, I want you guys to remember this is sales. Like at the end of the day, do we show up and we share? Yes, we share. we're shares people, but we sell product and we sell this opportunity and we sell ourselves. That's what we're doing when we're doing attraction marketing. We're branding ourselves. We're selling who we are, right? And people want to come and they want to see what we're doing. They want to know how we're making money. And that's why they come ask us all these questions. And you have to remember there's nothing pushy about being professional. I know that sometimes people are like, oh, but I don't want to be pushy. When somebody gives you an objection, it is our job to overcome them. If somebody's like, oh, well, I don't have the time. And then you're just like, okay. And you walk away, like you're literally never going to enroll anyone. Like there's always going to be, somebody's always going to have an excuse and an objection. There's a difference between trying to convince someone and just, kind of helping them to overcome their fear, because typically that's where those objections come from. They come from a place of fear for either the customer or the promoter. And so we have to remember that, it's our job to overcome those objections, but in a tactful way where it's not like us being pushy, like you're going to do this, more so like, let's talk about what it is that you're afraid of, like, and let me help you and realize that like, there's probably someone else just exactly like you that's already on this team. Right. And so, when your conversations start to become, when you start to feel like you're going into convincing mode and you're trying to convince somebody to join, I want you to cut the conversation right there and realize like, that's not your job. Your job is not to convince somebody. Our job is to share the opportunity. Do you overcome objections? Of course. But if you start to notice yourself trying to like bribe them or, convince, like, you know what I mean? You're pushing, and they're like pushing back. Stop. Don't waste your time. I don't want you guys trying to like push someone to join or to try the product or to like the product. I've had a few of you, message me about somebody with 3-day minis that are, that are saying certain things or whatever. And it's not our job to convince them to try the product for a full month. You can address what's going on and you can overcome that objection. But if they keep going, that's just okay. You know what I mean? Let it go. So here's a couple things. Let me see. If you guys have any other questions, you can drop them in the chat and I have it open so I can see. But I created some of these little graphics that have the like a common question. And then I typed out what I typically voice message. So I'm going to send those to the team chat after we're done with this so that you guys can have them on hand. I don't want you to feel like, I don't want to create a team that copies and pastes messages. So here's the disclaimer before I send these to everybody. I don't want you to copy the exact message and just start sending it out every time somebody asks you that. I want you to get comfortable with saying it in a way that feels authentic to who you are. I don't want you to use my wording. I want you to say it in a way that feels good to you. Change it up if you need to, but find a way for you to say it. And then I want you to practice voice messaging it so that you don't even have to type it out. So that you can say with full confidence when somebody says, what do you do? Oh, hey girl, like I work through my phone. It's so crazy. I utilize my social media platforms. Like I say the same thing every single time. So I don't even have to really think about it. It just flows out of me. And because I do that, people are like, oh, she's damn confident. Like she knows what she's talking about. And I don't ever have to skip a beat. And that's where I want you guys to be. I want you guys to feel like you have confidence. Now, in the beginning, if you're new, this takes time. So don't feel like you should be pushing it out like crazy. So here's the first one I created. You can't see my phone, it's too bright. It says, what do you do? This is my normal response. Hey girl, I'm so excited that you reached out to me. What I do is so simple. Basically, I utilize my social media platforms to share my life alongside of products that I love, plus a business plan that has changed my family's life. And now I also get to show other women how to do that same thing. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. So I just give them a very little bit. And the reason why I don't say, anything really besides I just utilize my social media platforms to share my life alongside of products is because I want them to ask me specific questions. I don't want to word vomit on them and make them be like, whoa, that was way too much. And I also don't want to answer questions that they haven't asked. Like there's certain things that they don't even realize that they want to know, but I won't get that out of them if I give them everything up front. So if I'm by giving them little pieces, they're going to come back and they're going to ask me something else, and then I'll be able to answer, and then we'll be able to have, and I'm kind of in control of the conversation at that point, because now they're forced to ask me something if they want to know more. I don't like to give them like the meat right away. I like to kind of give them like little pieces. So that's the first thing. The next one, what do the products do? This is the same thing I literally say this every single time. I just say, oh, they're so bomb. And it's so simple. It's a 3-step system. You wake up and take 2 capsules. We have them formulated for men and for women. Then you drink a Lifestyle Mix shake, slap on a DFT patch, which is a wearable vitamin. Steps 1 and steps 2, the capsules and the shakes, they're going to fill your body's personal nutritional gaps so that your body can run at its most optimal levels. And then step 3, that patch is going to sustain it all day long. So when your body's running how it's supposed to, we have more energy, mental clarity, joint health, gut health. Basically, you're just going to feel your absolute best. And that's it. So that's the most detailed description that I give anybody. So the products are going to be the ones that I'm going to give a little bit more, because if I were to just be like, oh, it's a 3-step system, you take capsules, shakes, and a DFT, they'd be like, okay, but like, why? You know what I mean? So I want to get them excited. I want to tell them like, this is what this is going to do for you, and this is what you can expect. And then let them be like, oh, dang, like I need that. I need more energy. Oh, dang. Like, you know what I mean? And they're going to say those things. Then they're going to ask me what they're looking for with that. And typically after that, I usually explain to them that we can tailor the DFT, which is when they ask me how much it is. That's when I usually say like, well, let me see, what is it that you're looking for? So a lot of times people would tell you like, ask for like their goals. Or, you know what I mean? What are your health goals? I don't ever ask anybody that ever. So you can, if that feels good to you. But for me, I'm just like, obviously you're interested in something that my products do, right? Because I've already shown that to you. And I usually say at the very end, like we can tailor this, and then ask them at that point. But I never am like specifically like, what are your goals right up front? When somebody asks how much a month supply is, my response is always, the cost is dependent on which patch that you choose. We can tailor that 3rd step to your goals, and then I'll be able to give you that exact price. Would you say that your main focus, what would you say your main focus is besides energy? Better nutrition and mood/anxiety support, or weight loss? And so I allow them to just go like, oh, well, I would like whatever. And so typically the most common response, and you guys probably get this too, is going to be mood support and weight loss. And typically they come together. Like most people want them at the same time. So when I'm told that, I'm going to automatically recommend TAC, because I know that TAC covers both of those. It's kind of a strong DFT to start on. You can ask Melissa. She felt like a crackhead. Sorry about that. It is a kind of a strong DFT to start on, but typically whenever I have a first-time customer, I have them start on one pill and half of a shake. So then it's a little bit less. But if you were to recommend that, so if they just asked you how much it was, right? Then you tell them like, what are they looking for? Then you now are recommending what you would say, dependent on tailoring it to them. So then at that point, you would just tell them like, okay, like we can definitely do that, whatever. And then whenever I'm explaining the cost, I always say exactly what they're getting. So I don't just say, oh, well, the month supply is going to be $164 plus shipping and tax. Like I want them to know exactly what they're getting. And so I tell them like, with a month supply of that, you're going to get 30 days of capsules, 32 days of shakes, and 30 days of the DFT. Because when you're saying 30 days of it, they're just thinking 30 days, like 30, you know what I mean? They're not thinking, when you're explaining it that way, that's 90 products. Okay. Do you understand that the price seems lower when you're explaining you're getting 30 days of this, 30 days of this, and 30 days of this, instead of just saying it's a 30-day supply. So I'm breaking that down, and then I tell them that. And then I always ask at the very end of that, is that doable for you? I like to finish what I say with questions, because it makes them respond. Do you know what I'm saying? It keeps the conversation going rather than not expecting a response. If you don't ask a question when you finish saying whatever you're saying, there's no response necessary. They can feel like they can walk away from the conversation and ghost you without feeling like they just totally ignored you because you asked them a question. Even when I'm having just like a regular dialect about, the products or the business, most of the time, if I'm voice messaging, I go, does that make sense? That's how I finish almost every single voice message. Does that make sense? because then now they're going to have to respond to me. They feel rude if they don't. And so it kind of generates that conversation to keep going. Do I still get ghosted? Of course, that's just a part of this industry. But I'm just saying, like, it's less when you're demanding a response by asking a question. So there's that one. Let me check. I have a million of these things in here. I have to find the other ones that I made. Is that it? I thought I wrote like 5 of them. I have to find them. Sorry, guys. My phone is like full of stuff. Okay. I don't know where they're at. So let me go to my chat thing. Does anybody have, if we don't recommend the TAC to start out with, which one would you recommend instead? Or would you still recommend the TAC and just have them do the dose? So for the TAC, like as a starting patch, I think that you could always ask, like, are they caffeine sensitive? Because I feel like if they are, I would definitely not recommend TAC like first thing, because it makes me feel like a crackhead. I literally can't wear them. So it really just depends on like the person. Like we're never gonna know, but if they say that they're caffeine sensitive, I would not recommend that. And I would probably just tell them like, let's do, if your goal, like your focus is gonna be weight loss and anxiety, then I would say let's start you on the black labels with Sculpt added in, because then at least the Sculpt is an inch diminisher, and so we can work on that. And that would be like the way to bring those all together, without having to do it. Obviously, it's less expensive for them to do it with the TAC, which is already, you know, it's formulated for weight loss and appetite control, weight management, all those things, right? So that makes it, that's why I typically would go that route. But if they were like, hey, I'm really caffeine sensitive, I don't know what can I use, then I would go Sculpt and black label. Give me 1 second. Oh, that's why I changed the look. I forgot. Sorry. Okay, I did find them. Thank you, Courtney. You just sent them to me. I forgot what they looked like in my phone. And so I'm like looking for those same blue ones that I had created. Okay. So here is somebody asked about how much money do you make? That's such an awkward freaking question. First of all, I hate when people ask that. First, it's personal. Like, I'm not going to show you my bank statements. Like, what's wrong with you? But I have a normal response if somebody asks that. I don't get it asked as much as I like used to, but I basically just tell them like, we have an uncapped earning potential here. The amount of money that you make will be dependent on how coachable you are and how much effort you put into building this business. In your first 2 weeks, you do have the opportunity to earn $800 in bonuses alone, plus your weekly commissions. As far as how much money I make, I personally can't how much money I personally make, it's against compliance for me to share exact amounts. What I can say though, is that I'm working in the process of building financial freedom for my family, and I'd love to teach you how to do that too. And so it kind of gets you a little bit like a way around it, without like you're answering it without answering it. And you're not being rude about it. So you're just like, I can't really tell you because it actually is against compliance. Like we're not allowed to show like our check stubs or anything like that. You're not supposed to show amounts. You can get in really big trouble for it. So that's an easy way out of that. Somebody asked, about people's response to, I just don't have time for this. I know that every single one of us have probably heard that from somebody. So typically what I say is, oh my God, girl, I totally get that. Sometimes we have our plate so full that it literally can seem like adding one more thing is going to be suffocating. I do feel like I would be doing you a disservice though, if I didn't tell you how that we can honestly work this into almost any schedule. Our team is full of women in all walks of life. Some work full-time jobs, multiple jobs, moms, college students, and all of us are super busy. But what we are able to do is fit this into the nooks and crannies of our days. Don't get me wrong, it takes some sacrifice to fit it in, but with that time spent, you can build a business that allows you more freedom of time, not only for you, but for your family too. I'd hate for you to block yourself from possible change for fear of not having the time. I can definitely help you fit this in. What does a typical day look like for you? And so then they're like, okay, let me explain, how, what my day looks like. And then you can show them the pockets of the time that they could fit it in. Like sometimes people are going to respond and they're going to be like, oh, well, my days don't look the same, because I've this and this. And I would respond, oh yeah, I totally get it. Like as a mom, like, dude, my days never look the same. Like one day I'm over here and one day I'm over there and it's totally different. But the cool thing is like I get to decide when I work. So if I wake up and my normal routine is thrown off, like I can work later on when the kids go down for a nap. So I'm still gonna go over that, and I'm gonna relate, and then I'm going to overcome. Does that make sense? So I want to reassure and I want to make them know that I understand and I relate to what they're saying, and then I'm going to say, but this is why you don't need to feel that way. Okay. So always make sure that you're not just like disregarding what they're saying, but you're understanding, okay, I get it. This is why you don't need to feel that way. And then finish it up with like, does that make sense? Or, how does this work for you or whatever? So that the conversation will continue. And then bye girl. Let's see, where's the next one? Why do I have like 15 of the same thing? Oh, here we go. When somebody says that the products are expensive, I know a lot of us have a thing in the back of our minds saying that the products are expensive. And if anybody has that where you feel like the products are expensive, go ahead and just like raise your hand and visibly raise your hand. Okay. You feel like the products are expensive. And when you feel like the products are expensive, everyone's going to feel like the products are expensive because you're going to put that across when you talk to them. So you have to realize that like they're paying for quality. One, our ingredients are absolutely incredible. You can't find anything more clean than what we have our hands on, right? There's absolutely no fillers. There's no artificial, there's nothing. I mean, the products and the ingredients are incredible. So knowing that and kind of working through like how good you feel, I would pay double to be able to function the way that I do. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the kind of like mindset you have to have. So when somebody comes to you and you tell them how much a month's supply is, and then they respond like, oh, wow, that's way more expensive than what I thought it would be. First of all, I'm like, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. I don't say that. Anyways, I usually say something like, oh my God, I thought it sounded expensive when I first looked into it too. Because once again, I want to relate to them, right? I want them to know that I felt the same way when I first heard that. So I tell them that, and then I'm like, but when you break it down, the system actually only comes out to less than $6 a day. That is so huge. When you say that, people are like, oh, like only $6. Like I spend that at Starbucks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they don't realize how much money they're spending somewhere else. Like even just going through like Taco Bell drive-through, if they go out to eat every day, like on their lunch break or whatever, they don't realize that they're spending $174 like they want to spend on these products because they're spending it in smaller chunks, right? So when you're telling them that it's a small chunk of money, it's less than $6 a day, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's actually not that bad, right? So I tell them like when you break it down, the system only comes out to less than $6 a day. Plus you're getting premium nutrition made from the best ingredients, no additives or anything artificial. Also, even our customers can earn for free. So if you love it after your first month, I can definitely help you get your free product secured. And so then I'm telling them like, you don't have to worry. You can try this out one time, right? If you love it, then I can show you how to earn it for free, even as a customer. So now I'm not forcing you into like promoting or anything like that. Like there's no icky scams. Like I'm telling you, like I can show you as a customer how to do this. And most of the time, whenever I break it down that way, people are like, okay, that makes sense. Like it's only $6. Like it's not that bad. So that really helps a lot. If anybody else has any questions about like that you've heard or been asked that have totally stumped you, feel free to drop them and I'll answer them. But those are the ones that I had gotten in the chat. So I created those and I'll send them in there so you guys can have them. But as far as conversations go, you guys, like the biggest thing is like, you're not going to have confidence if you don't take action. So like in order to build the confidence, you have to have the conversations. You have to go through times where you have conversations and you feel awkward and you feel like you don't know what you're saying. Like I wouldn't have confidence right now if I didn't continue to try to figure out what I was going to say. every single time somebody, it was like a trial and error when for me to figure out my exact responses. But now I can spit it out without even thinking. As soon as somebody slides into my inbox and they're like, hey, what is it that you do? Immediately, I can just spit it out, no matter what's going on, no matter who's around, because I've said it so many times that I have confidence, but the confidence came from action. So we have to remember that, like, if you want that confidence in your conversations and you want to be able to have people come to you and you want to be able to be like, no, don't skip a beat. You have to have the conversation. You have to practice, and you have to start to feel like you have to just tell yourself, like, you're going to do this. So even though it feels super awkward to voice message and you're afraid you're going to stumble, you know that you can drag it to the left and you can delete it, right? And then you can start over. Like, it's not a permanent thing. You don't have to. I've said so many times, my husband used to make fun of me when I used to be voice messaging, because I used to be like, I used to go, and and I would get off and he'd be like, how many times do you say, like 1,500, like, geez, lady. And I was like, I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I didn't really know what I was talking about. I was nervous, especially because he's sitting there listening to me. And, it felt awkward, but now I don't even skip a beat. The other day he was like, dang, he's like, you sounded really professional. I was like, thanks, I've been practicing. Like, that's what happens. Your confidence is going to come with your consistency in trying. And so even if you have to, I know Roxy does this and I think it's so cute. Like, she practices in front of her kids. Like, she utilizes her kids to like talk to so that she can feel comfortable. So she's like talking to a person and she makes them sit down and listen to her. And I'm like, that's so awesome. So like, I mean, no matter what you have to do, if you just have to like literally voice message your grandma or something, I'm just saying, like, figure out how you can do it to where you can practice and you can have that confidence so that you can seal the deal. Because you're not, like, if you're not sealing the deal, if you're not closing conversations, if you have conversations going on but they're not going anywhere, and you're not closing, then I would say it might come down to the way that you're presenting the opportunity, the way that you're carrying yourself, the way that the way that you're coming across in the messages, whether you're meaning to or not. Sometimes we don't even realize, but we're like self-sabotaging because of the way that we're, wording things or whatever. If we're going too into detail, or if you're going not enough into detail, like, you have to find where you start to see results, right? And so sometimes it's going to be, my message might not work for you. I'm going to tell you that. I don't want you to get discouraged if you're like, hey, Audrey, I used your message and it didn't close somebody. Like, I don't want you to think that it's like, I didn't crack a code or anything. I just found what worked for me. So that's what works for me. I'm so happy to share it. I'm so happy and willing to help as much as I can. So that's why I created those, but I don't want you to fall back on them and feel like if it's not closing conversations or whatever, that it's not working. Also, in regards to conversations, I wanted to go over 3 ways again. I think that we've talked about it a million bajillion times, but I think repetition is necessary. 3-way chats are how you're going to be successful in the beginning, for sure. I don't ever really have to ask Katie for a 3-way anymore, because I do have the confidence now, and I do know how to go through the conversation of what we do very easily. But before I didn't. And I utilized her for a lot of 3-way chats when people were from previous, different companies or whatever. And I felt like I needed that extra confidence. I went and grabbed her so that I could utilize that. If you're not doing that, I have to tell you, like, you're doing yourself a disservice by not utilizing somebody else who has a little bit more confidence than you, even if it's just this much more. They know how to present the opportunity better. If you're nervous at all, that's going to come across to your people. Allow yourself to utilize somebody else to close that for you so that you can listen to what they're saying multiple times, and you're going to be able to feel super good, because you're going to be able to go back to those messages, because now you're listening to them in a real scenario, right? It's not like what's that called? Like, it's not like role play. This is like actual real time happening with an actual potential, and you get to hear the immediate response, right? And so I'm not with you right now.
Can you please
After I'm done, baby. Okay, I
I'm
will.
not gonna watch any pregnant stuff.
Great. She's not going to watch any pregnant stuff. Okay. Okay. YouTube. So ridiculous. My husband just left to go karaoke, and so like I'm left here with these kids, and I'm like, I'm telling you right now, they are going to come out, and he's like, no, it'll be fine. No, it's not. But anyways, so I don't even remember what I was saying now that she talked about pregnant YouTubes. Oh yeah, utilizing the three-ways. So if you're utilizing those and you're seeing them in real time, like Rock said, she goes back and listens to them and the responses, because sometimes you'll get the similar questions in a new conversation, and you can go back and you can listen to what the person said into your three-way for that answer, and you can figure out a way to go to them and say the same thing in a way that feels good to you. And so that's a real learning experience. If you aren't utilizing three-ways, I don't suggest them for customers, because I feel like it's weird. Like people are like, you don't know about your product. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it makes you seem a little bit less knowledgeable. But if you have a question about a conversation, you can always screenshot those conversations with the customers and send them. When somebody enrolls with me, I always tell them, like, I want to work with, like, I want to see your conversations for at minimum the first week. Like, I don't want you to just feel like you're on your own trying to figure out what to say, because you don't know what to say in the beginning. It's nerve-wracking. You don't 100% know what the products do. That you might know how they make you feel, but you might not know how to explain that into words, right? And so letting somebody else give you those words is going to be able to give you, like, you're basically borrowing the confidence until you build your own. So utilizing the three-ways, utilizing screenshots until you get that down is great. And figuring out what are your most common questions and coming up with your own response for them. Okay. Just like I have my responses, you guys can utilize them, like I said, but switch them around, figure out your response. Like, figure out what Courtney's going to say when somebody says, what do you do for, like, how do you make money through social media? You know what I mean? What are you going to say? Have a response so that when somebody comes to you, you're ready. Like, you're ready to answer those questions. Right now, I know that a lot of us, I've seen, different struggles and stuff from different conversations that a lot of people don't feel like a lot of people are getting in people's inboxes right now. That it's pretty quiet for a lot of you, is what I've heard. And maybe God just wants you to prepare for the rain. Maybe you're supposed to be ready for when your inbox is just flooded. Maybe you're just not ready for that. Like, maybe it's time for you to build your confidence and to figure out what exactly you're supposed to be doing, so that you are literally, when somebody comes into your inbox, you're like, I was ready for this. I was waiting for you to get here. You know what I mean? The more that we kind of just like hold ourselves back and we're like, oh, well, nobody's messaging me or whatever. I think it's time to do one of those self audits, like I said before. If you're really feeling like that and nobody's getting into your inbox, you're not having daily conversations, you should be having daily conversations. Like, people should be messaging you. People should be asking. And if they're not, it's time to self audit and really figure out, where is the disconnect, because there is a disconnect somewhere. You don't have to have 15 people in your inbox every single day, but one. Like, you should have at least one. Like, one person should be like, hey, what is it? What is this product? Or what is, whatever. And some days you won't have that. I shared with our leadership last night that I literally did not enroll one customer last month. And I don't think anybody knew that, but I didn't enroll one customer. Did I enroll promoters? Yes, but I didn't enroll one customer. And it was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, why am I not enrolling? And I had to really look. I wasn't doing what I was, what I needed to do. I wasn't talking about the product enough. I was so promoter focused. That's what I was enrolling. So if we realize, like, whatever you're talking about is what you're going to attract. And if you really want to build like an actual income here, building a team is what's going to pay you. Customers are great. Recurring customers, that's a residual income. But at the end of the day, like, your retail commissions are this, and building a team is this. And so we have to know when to, like, how to balance talking about the products and the business in a way that's not like heavier on one side or the other. I struggle with that a lot. I'm typically more business focused, which is why I enroll more promoters. But balancing that is super important so that we can have an equal amount of conversations. I know for me, I didn't realize how much I was talking about the products versus the opportunity. Oh, you literally just said that. Yes, I think that most of the time when we look at it, dependent on our enrollments, we'll be able to see what we talk about more. And that's how you know what you're more heavy on, because that's what you're going to enroll. So how would I suggest balancing? Well, I don't know, because I still do it. No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real, I'm not the best at balancing. I just have to be totally honest. Like, I'm not perfect. I don't do, sometimes I'll realize that I didn't even do anything all day except for posting my stories. Like, I'm not the best at balancing, but I think the best thing is just like, if you can just like, maybe if we can weekly audit ourselves and look at our page and see, what did I focus on this past week? Was I, was I talking on my stories as much as about the business as I was the products? Like, was I equally talking about it, or did I focus more on this and kind of forget to even speak about that? And so maybe just doing that, maybe we can check in on ourselves on a weekly basis and just see, because you can go into your story archives on Instagram and see what you posted on your story day by day. And so you could even go look at your whole week's worth of stories for the past week and see like what you posted. So that would be my suggestion. Have I done it myself? No. Maybe I need to start. Paisley Rain, I am on a call right now. I will see you in 5 minutes. Does anybody else have any questions like in regards to conversations and like things that you may struggle with when somebody reaches out to you, or if you're not having them, or if you have any like anything right now, where I'm basically going to just like open this up. I can answer basically anything while we talk. How do you handle, oh yeah, Rox, you did ask me to do that and I forgot. How do I handle cold messages? Well, I've been with a previous company who cold messaged. So my response is basically, oh my God, girl, is this it works? No, just kidding. That's really what I say though. Because most of the time it is. I actually know when it is because I used to send those exact messages. And so if it is, I know that it is, but I always ask, is this that? And, because I have experience there and I used to be there, I say, oh, I respect your hustle so much. I know how hard it is to send out as many cold messages as you do. I actually used to work for the company. I was a double diamond on both my husband and my account, which is the second to top rank. So I like to throw that out there because I like them to know that I was very high up and I left. And so I just tell them like, I respect your hustle, but no, I'm not interested. I actually left. I actually found a different opportunity because I was so tired of sending these messages. So if you're ever looking for a different way or a way out of that, don't hesitate to hit me up. I would love to give you some info, and I switch it. So that's typically how I handle that. But if I didn't have experience, I know like some people didn't come from a previous company. If you get cold messaged, I would probably just say something like, same kind of thing, like, I respect your hustle. I'm sure it took guts to send that cold message. But no, I'm not interested. I'm actually really happy where I'm at. And if you ever want to build authentically without having to send cold messages, like, I would be happy to tell you how I do that. Obviously not in a way that's like rude. I try not to be rude. I try to make them like, understand that I respect it, because I know that like you're doing what you have to do, you're hustling, but like you don't have to build that way. I'm pretty good with follow-ups, but when people who are interested in the biz but don't have money, when you talk to them, do you follow up with them, and how? I typically don't follow up, to be honest. I'm not a huge follow-up person. I like not getting in people's inbox multiple times, because when they come to me, just like you, Courtney, I never followed up with you. You came back when you were ready. I'm a firm believer that following up with customers is important. As far as like potential promoters, I feel like if I bring them in when they're not ready, there's no point to what they just did. And so for me, following up is interacting. Like, I interact with my potential promoters so that they see my name. I did follow up with you because I had a sale. So that's what I was about to say. When there is something going on, like double, triple fast starts, or, things like that, when you're like on a crunch to enroll promoters, of course, I'm going to follow up. You know what I mean? And I'm going to go to them and say, hey, I have $50 off of a $200 pack, $200, whatever, like if I'm doing that, then I'm going to go follow up, because it's going to help me close it, right? And I know that they were interested, but on a normal basis, when I'm not trying to hit a goal, I'm not going to follow up with promoters because I feel like it's me pressuring them into doing something that they're obviously not ready for, because if they were, they would have already messaged me. They already know all of the information. I've already given them everything that they need to know. So when they're ready, they're going to come to me, and I'm just going to continue to build a relationship through interacting. If they have something going on in their life, or like if I see like they got engaged or whatever, like I'll message, oh my God, girl, congratulations, whatever. I'll have a normal conversation with them, because I don't need to pressure them. Like they're not a part of my business until they're ready. I don't want somebody to come in here because they felt like Audrey made them come in here. Like I want them to come because they made the decision, so that when they make the decision, they're gonna want to do it. Like if you force somebody to come in, I used to follow up like crazy, and like I would enroll so many people, but so many people would leave because it wasn't their time. They weren't ready. And so we just have to remember, like, patience is a virtue. It's not easy to do, but there's so many more billions of potentials out there. And so you don't need to wait for that one. I think sometimes we hold so tightly on those just 3 potentials because we like are afraid that we don't have any more. But it's like, if we just keep that relationship flowing and we keep doing what we're doing, more potentials go. I have sticky notes on my computer screen that are just full of potential promoters, like just full of them. Just people, even if they just ask me one question and they never respond again, they're going on that list because I'm going to interact with them. So like, even if they say, what do you do? And I say my normal, I utilize social media, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't ask me any specific questions back after I said that, they're still going on my list. They wanted to know what I did. So now I'm going to create that relationship with them. And then I break my potentials down from conversations like that. I put them by month. So like I have my June potentials, like I break them down, and every night before I go to bed, I go through my messenger and on both Instagram and Facebook, and I add them to my list because I separate them. That way, whenever it's time for me to interact, I can pull up each list. That makes it so much easier, right? Then I'm not having to go scroll through my phone to see like who messaged me. Like I just do it at night, and I add the people that I talked to that day onto my list. And then I have a running list of people. So when a promo does come around, I know exactly who I'm going to talk to, because all of these people just reached out to me like within the last week. You know what I'm saying? And it makes it a lot easier and less chaotic when you're organized like that. I follow up like twice and then I stop and keep interacting. This will help my interactions more because I never thought of it like that. Yeah, it's like, I think that when you realize that like people want to be treated like people, like sometimes I think because we're in sales and we do want to build and we have these goals, like sometimes we forget that these are real people on the other side of the screen who have like real struggles and real lives, and we don't know what's going on. And a lot of times people are going to ghost you just because they are embarrassed to tell you what's going on. They're embarrassed to tell you that they don't have the money or that they're negative in their bank account. And so instead of getting frustrated when people ghost me, I try to give them grace, and I try to just remember like they're going through their own private thing that I don't know what it is. It's not me. They're not doing it because they just don't like me. They're just not ready. And that's okay. Not everybody is ready. Think back to when you first started. Were you ready right as soon as you talked to whoever you enrolled with? Probably not. It took you some time, right? You weren't ready. Maybe there was things that you didn't want to tell them, that you were stressed financially. I know when I did follow up with Kayla, she actually spilled out every single reason why she hadn't messaged me back. And she told me all of the things, all the different struggles, all of the different fears. And we talked through them that night, and she ended up enrolling. But the thing is like, I wouldn't have ever known that. She didn't tell me any of that the first time we talked. She didn't want to. She didn't know me. You know what I mean? She was like, this is how I feel, but like, I'm not ready to tell you that. And so when we have those potential promoters, the building that relationship, that's what's going to get them to feel like they know you, to where they'll come talk to you about those things. And then you can overcome the objections that they have. You can talk to them about their fears, and you can truly help the person that's on the other side of the screen that really needs the help, but they were just too afraid to come to you before you built that relationship, before you allowed them the time to come to them. Most people who come in and enroll with me that I didn't follow up with, they thank me. for not making them feel pressured. That is why they come back to me. They could go enroll with somebody else. Susie Q over there, she's been promoting it too, and she's on their friends list. But they remembered when they had that conversation with me, and I never made them feel like they had to make a decision. I allowed them the time that they needed. So the more that we do that and just realize like it's okay if somebody doesn't sign right away, and it's okay to take that time and to just really, really, really cultivate that relationship. And it is hard to interact with somebody who hardly posts. One of the ways that you can interact with somebody who's not actually posting though is you can just like remember things that they tell you, or go to your conversation and like maybe they told you that like their dog's birthday was coming up. So you can message them and just be like, hey, like I remember that it was your dog's birthday. Like, how are you? You know, like just like random things like that. I'm just saying like it doesn't have to be huge, but you can have conversations with them. If they're not posting things that you can physically interact with on their page, have a regular conversation with them outside of the business. Like go just be like, hey, you were on my heart. How are you feeling today? I know that you were kind of struggling. You weren't feeling good last week. You know, are you feeling better? Be a human. You know what I'm saying? That's it. At the end of the day, just be a human. Be a human who cares about other humans. And then you'll be able to build those relationships, and people know, like, and trust you. They're going to come to you. I don't think she's on here right now, but Felicia, she's one of our newest 4Ks. She and I had built a friendship on social media. We've never met in person. This is how you know when people know, like, and trust you, they come to you. Okay. So she deleted her social media a while back. She didn't even have social media. So we didn't have any contact. She had a friend at work, or her boss, that was selling Thrive. She started using the products. She messaged me. She got her social media back. She messaged me probably like, I don't remember what she said. I think she said it was like months after she had been using it. And she wanted to sign up as a promoter, but she felt guilty. This is what she said. She told me she felt guilty that she had been using the products and she wasn't getting them from me. And she knew that if she wanted to start the business, that she could not do it unless she was working with me. I've literally never met her in my life in person. That's because we built that relationship. She had that loyalty to me because she knew me, she liked me, she trusted me. So she came to me. She didn't go to her boss. She could have very easily signed up with her boss, but she knew that she wanted to build that relationship. She wanted to build the business relationship with somebody that she knew, like, and trust. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. Is like, we're supposed to be making such an impact on people that they want to work with you. There is a million people out there doing the same thing that we are doing. You're going to set yourself apart by the way that you treat people and the way that you show up and the way that you bring value. So when we're looking at our page and we're only showing up as Audrey, the Thrive girl, no one's going to really connect with me. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm showing up as Audrey, the hot mess mom who, you know, doesn't get it right a lot of the time, who's, you know, 2 years sober and, you know, like all of those things, like when I show up as that person and I just happen to sell Thrive, that's why people come. I'm not Audrey, the Thrive girl. I'm Audrey, their friend, who also has a solution to some of their problems. Right. And so thinking about that, and when you're going into conversations, not having the mindset of, I'm going to get a customer, or I have to get a promoter. I need to get this promoter, you know what I mean, to close out this thing. I know, so it's so easy to do, right? Because we have these goals and we're like, we need to get this customer, but it's not getting. It's like, who can I truly impact and help? And I know it's hard when you're in a place where it's like, but Audrey, like, I want to build, like, I don't want to just sit at this same rank. I know I've been there a million times. I've felt like that so many different times. But then when I stop and I pull back and I really look at the way I'm having conversations and the way that like I'm showing up, I can see that like I'm working out of that. Like I can see the way that sometimes somebody will message me and like I'll totally disregard what they say and then just go straight into about the product and stuff. And that's because I'm so focused on enrolling a customer, right? That I just disregarded the human part and I just went straight into robot, here's what the product is, right? And I started realizing that as I really looked at my conversations and was like, wow, I really need to slow down and like talk to them, not feel like I need to go immediately like, hey, by the way, you said you wanted to buy the products yesterday. Did you forget? Like, are you gonna buy them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not just be like, hey girl, like I know we were supposed to get together yesterday. I know you said you wanted to buy the product, but I'm sure you had a super busy day. Like, how was your day? How are you feeling? Or whatever. Like, I can have that conversation. I can follow up with them in a way that doesn't feel like all I'm after is their wallet, you know? So I hope that makes sense. But does anybody else have any other questions? I don't want to keep you guys on here. Like, it's already been 50 minutes, so I don't want to keep you on here too long. But I wanted to make sure that we had some clear, clear ways to like really boost your confidence and how you guys can show up and really just like not have any doubt in yourself anymore. Not have any doubt in not only yourself, but also your opportunity, what you have your hands on, the product, like all of it. I don't want you guys to have doubts, because those doubts come across to other people. And the more that we do that, like, it's going to be a vicious cycle. You have a conversation, you have this doubt, the customer feels it, they walk away, you feel even worse. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I am literally doing something. But anyways, since nobody else has any other questions, I'm going to get off of here so that I can help them get to bed. But I will send the graphics that I created with those responses into the chat. And then that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.